You're now listening to Hispanics Causing Panic, baby. Let's do this.
Right now, Hispanics are causing black. But right now, Hispanics are causing black. Yeah, Hispanics are causing panic.
And thanks to those joining us live and those who be joining us on the archive. Bear with me for a second. I think we have some technical difficulties, but it didn't go live on your channel, Christine. I don't know what happened.
It's okay. It's okay.
But,
We'll figure it out. It's okay.
We'll
It's all
figure
good.
that out. So anyway, newbie over here. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's all good.
So everybody panic. No, we're good. We're good.
Don't panic.
It is Hispanics causing panic. I mean, we might as well panic.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're supposed to be causing a panic, not causing it to ourselves. But with that said, all right, you know whose fault it is? I know whose fault.
Saying it's all Crawford's fault, basically. That's what I said. It's not Spencer's fault. Oh man, look, how can I say this? Oh, definitely Al Heyman is behind it all, and the reason why a lot of these fights don't happen. You're right. You know, it's crazy. They don't think that's the case.
Oh, well, there you go.
you're funny. Why you mute my mic? You're funny.
No, what do you mean? Oh, I think when the clips play, it mutes everybody. I think you could have muted it. You could have muted if you want.
Okay.
You wanted to respond to the baby or what? What's going on? You had a
No,
problem
I'm
with
gonna
the baby?
respond to you, bro.
You know, but so much to talk about. And Angelo Leo, by the way, defended his belt against Kameda over there in Japan.
What's up, everyone? It's Angelo Leo, two-time world champion. Just want to give a big shout out to the Spanish Causing Panic podcast. Tune into my next fight, 9/24.
Shout out to him. He just happened to shout out ATP, but shout out to him.
Of course, just happened.
And man, that win Fulton has over him is aging very well, actually. You know,
It is.
really good win for Fulton. Maybe they'll do a rematch, maybe unification. That's on the table. We'll see. They're all waiting for Inoue, but I don't think Inoue's going to be there anytime soon. It might as well unify and all that good stuff. With that said, a lot happened in the weekend.
Yes,
right?
it did. Yes, it did.
So first of all, Jamal Charlo came out of the cave he was hiding at, right? And he had a lot to say, Christine. We don't know where the hell he's been. And he shows up and he has all these opinions about so many things. And he did get a knockout win. So you know, good
Wait,
for him.
you said Maul or Mel?
Maul.
Okay.
Jamal.
Yeah.
We came out of hiding. It's kind of, if I said Jamal, I apologize. But Jamal came out of hiding. He got a knockout win. He had a lot of things to say, Christine.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very opinionated guy. We didn't know where he was for 2 years, but now he's got so much to say, right?
Yeah, I guess he said he's back.
He said he's back. He came back. He won by stoppage, and he said he's still open to Caleb Plant fight, which we'll talk about in a little bit. He's open to fight everybody, and then of course he mentioned Canelo. He said he still wants to do that Canelo fight, avenge his brother.
We all want to fight Canelo. Let's get the bag, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't blame him for calling him out, but you know,
I don't either.
What do you think of Jermall being back? The second fight in like 30 years.
I mean, La Mana. Like Lamont has been in and out, in and out. He has been built up to be where he was for last night.
Cornflake.
No disrespect to him, but is he back? Is he really back? Did he look like amazing against Lamana?
He looked all right. He looked okay.
Yeah, he looks okay
He,
against
he looked
Lamana.
like an active fighter that came back too.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. With a
but
little bit of ring rust, and I get it. I mean, sometimes that happens. He's been off for 2 years, and so he had to like warm up and get his get back. But is he back? I mean, is he back? In your opinion, is he back?
well, he's back in terms of showing his face. He came back
Yeah.
from hiding.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's back in form, if that's what you're asking me.
that's what I'm asking you.
I don't think he's back in form, but it's hard to get. He didn't look so good against Jose. One-legged Benavidez. A couple of was that like over a year now?
Yeah, it had to be maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, and he's been very inactive, and he didn't look good before that.
Right.
Right. So I forget the name of the fight. Adames beat him afterwards, but I forget the name. But he very controversial win in that, and then he was life and death, and then he doesn't look good against a much smaller one-legged Jose Benavidez, and that one was a distance. But at the very
Why
least,
does everybody say one-legged? I know he got shot in the leg, but he does not walk around or fight like he has one leg. Like people always say that. Like, come on.
All right, 1.5-legged Benavidez, 1.25. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, I mean, he's kind of like limping after like 4 rounds every fight.
Is he?
Yeah, he's kind of like dragging that foot. Yes, after like
I
4 or
think
5
that
rounds.
people started saying that, and then now everybody says it. Like, I don't see him limping. Like,
see
he
it.
is tough.
No, not limping, like dragging. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the foot's kind of not responsive. He's not very mobile like he was before he was shot in the leg.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Okay. So does that discredit everyone that's ever fought him?
No, it discredits Jermall, who couldn't knock him out and he was a lot bigger than him. Right? Jermall didn't look so good in that fight. Right?
No, he didn't.
But against Cornflake, he looked a little better. He's kind of like, he's working his way back in Jermall. He's not quite in form, but at least he came out of hiding. And he had a lot to say, Christine.
Yeah, he
right?
did. He did.
He was talking about the illegal levels right here and snacks just right here. They allow just the right amount, he said.
Yeah, he did.
Even though I don't even know if that's true. Like what?
Well, the crazy thing is he did not say allegedly. He is saying that this is what they do. He said
that everybody knows.
Whatever little bag that he got with Lamana, he probably needs to hold on to it because, I mean, people are suing for lesser things.
Why don't you want to call him Cornflake?
I'm not going to call him Cornflake.
Isn't that what everybody calls him?
Lamana.
Lamana.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put that out there like that. I'm just going to say that. You have to use the word allegedly or else you're looking to get in trouble. Come on, man. Come on,
So he
Charlo,
brought up Canelo. He says he goes to Mexico all the time and he never popped for a Cabrera roll, right?
Yeah.
He said that snack, they all know the right amount of levels.
That's what he said.
But
to be right just under. That's what he said.
And he also said that he's saying something that everybody knows to be true, is what he said. But he's going to be the one to say it. So
I don't know.
He was nowhere to be found. Pops up his head, finally showed his face, and he had all this to say, making all his accusations towards Snack, right?
Yeah.
And the sport in general.
Yeah.
Is that common knowledge? Does everybody know about Snack?
No, I mean the thing is that it's no secret that people have been popping dirty. I mean, look, we just had Munguia last week after a tremendous win, and I gave him so much praise. I was like, oh my God, yeah, this is where he needs to be. He looks so good. His defense is better, his strength, everything, his movement was great. And then we find out, that allegedly, he popped dirty. But it seems to be a common conversation right now.
Yeah.
There was I guess it was a few years ago that I interviewed Mia St. John, and she said her whole career, she did PEDs, and that
Whoa.
everyone around her did. You know, there was not one fight that she did not fight without them. So maybe it is for some circles, depending on, where you're at or what you're doing, but it's not common in my circle. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Jamal had a lot to say. I mean,
He did. He did. He
he had
did
a
have a
lot
lot
to
to say.
say. And
But my thing is where's his proof? I mean, he's saying this, but where's the proof? Where's the facts? You
he's
can't just
saying
put
it's
it out there.
common knowledge, is what he's saying.
Well, common knowledge to who? Is it common knowledge to you? Is it common knowledge to me? No, it's not. So
And
what does that mean?
people in the know,
I'm in the industry.
but maybe you're not in the know, according to Jamal.
Well, obviously I'm not because it's not common knowledge for me.
Okay.
And I have fighters, I've had fighters, and I mean I've seen things, and there are some that choose to go that route and some that choose not to, and we're one that chooses not to.
The amount of people that are just taking what Jamal's saying and just writing with it, saying, yeah, totally. Like, he's telling the truth, is what they're saying. Right.
Well, they better
And
have some proof.
so you think he's walking a slippery slope here
I think
and he could
so.
face
I think so.
legal repercussions
I
from
think so.
Conte?
I mean, amongst your circle, you can talk about certain things, but whenever you go public and really accuse somebody of some things, you better have some hardcore proof, because the people that you're accusing um, will sue you.
Mm.
You know,
Shout out to Chaldi in the chat, El
Michelle
Pinchy in the
D.
chat.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the way I see it, right? Jermall is he's making claims that, if true, by the way, should be provable, right? So
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Where's your proof? If
we
you're
should
going to
be
say
able to
it,
see the like the
stand on
result
it.
test, like the test results. Is it true that they have whatever the banned substance amount is,
Right.
that when someone takes snack products, they're all just right at the limit, but without going over? I would like to see how that could be proven. But
Yeah. How is it measured? Like, who knows the exact amount, and how do they measure it? And are they falling right underneath? I need to show
so
me.
this is the accusation, right? Now, I'm not saying that I agree with a lot of this or anything like that, but what I'm saying is Victor Conte, who is the owner of Snack, right, who has a history, and he really is only really allowed, or really only works in the sport of boxing. Other sports wouldn't really take him at this point. He was, the head of the Balco scandal and how all that played out, but he has a close relationship with those that run VADA, right?
Yeah.
When VADA started, he was a spokesman for them, right? And they utilized him in a way kind of similar to how the FBI will hire former hackers to help them with, finding other hackers or stuff like that. But the accusation is, or the thinking people have is, well, Victor Conte is close to VADA, works closely with VADA, and he knows what the list is and there's certain things that are illegal only at a certain limit. So he could make his product Snack to contain some of those substances, just and have the doses be enough to where it won't go over the legal limit, right? Now, Jermall's not the first person to ever say that, but he's wording it in his way, right? That's pretty much what he's insinuating and putting out there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is exactly. It's insinuation. Yeah, he has a past, and he has done things. I mean, it's like, okay, you work at a bank, D style, and you happen to like steal and get caught,
Oof.
and then you find yourself working at a bank again. Does that mean you're automatically going to be guilty? Or are you going to do things differently? I mean, everybody has a past. And unless you have proof, don't even put it out there. Like I said, Charlo can be in really big trouble putting these things out there. Like, and if you're gonna say something, say I think, or my feeling, or allegedly. But to say flat out, this is what they do and how they do it, well, how do you know? Unless maybe were you involved at one time? Like, how do you know what they do?
Yeah. I mean, this is what he's saying. I mean, I'm not saying he's right,
Yeah.
but maybe somebody has to slap him or something. Kind of like Plant did. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
or maybe he'll get slapped, not physically, but with a lawsuit, right? He'll
Yeah,
get served that way.
that's what I think is going to happen. You know, that's what I think.
Now, to your example, I mean, if I would have to be a serial bank thief, right? In that example, if I'm Victor Conte,
I
I
mean,
would have to
yeah,
be someone who stole from multiple banks,
well, maybe you were.
right?
Maybe you were allegedly.
And if I do work at a bank today, I think it would be fair for people to question me working at that bank
Absolutely
if I had that
question
issue.
you, but to actually say, no, I know for a fact he's doing this because he's done it before.
Yeah, I think Jermall, someone needs to talk to him, be like, hey, say alleged or I believe.
Yeah,
This wouldn't be
exactly. I
happening.
believe, allegedly, whatever. You can't just say this is fact, and he's like, it was here and this is here and I know that. Well, how do you know? How do you know?
Plus, what does here mean and why is it here? I don't know.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
that's not exactly how you do scientific experiments, but it's whatever. A shout out to Crystal in the chat, and I do want to
My
address
girl.
this. Like, she's being nice now, but usually Chrissy's being mean to me, like hurting my
Never,
feelings, attacking
never
me.
am I
You know,
mean.
like,
Crystal, how these
but when I
guys
go to
do.
Women Christian on Wednesday, Nika's nice, Crystal's nice, but Christine's just throwing shots at me the whole time,
Never.
calling
And
me all
Crystal's
types
been
of.
accused of being mean. No, we're all nice. What?
Who's Crystal mean to?
Nobody.
Well, who accused her of being mean?
Oh, just
Some dude
someone
or
on the internet. Yeah.
somebody on it. Well, if it's on the internet, it must be
On
true,
X.
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If it's on X, you
It's
know what I
gotta be
mean?
true. That's where I get my
Uh,
news.
okay. He also said that fighters take dives. Now that is such a broad blanket statement. Like there's so many fighters out there. It's a sport with tens of thousands of fighters, and there's dozens of fights every weekend. Has there been fighters that took a dive? Probably, but is it like this constant thing where fighters are just taking dives left and right? I mean,
I don't think so. And I want to address El Pinche, the facts. He's banned from all sports except boxing. Come on, Christine, that's a huge red flag. I'm not saying that it's not a huge red flag. I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm not saying that he's innocent. My point is that you cannot just go, on social media and say that somebody is absolutely guilty and then tell people how if you don't have the facts. You have to be like allegedly, or I think. I'm not saying he's guilty or innocent. I'm just saying you cannot do that because there is a lawsuit that can follow. That's my
so
point.
so if we could have a brief before we move on conversation about PED usage, and here's how I've always felt about it. Okay, and if you want to expand from when I say this, you can. So when it comes to other sports, I'm going to be very honest. If it was up to me, Eric, I'm just one person, one person, one opinion. If you're talking about baseball, basketball, if you're talking about like golf, if you're talking about non-contact sports that have no any way, shape, or form violence in it, I don't care if they use PEDs. I'm just going to be honest with you. Right? I thought baseball was amazing. That's the best baseball's ever been when they were using pads. But now, if somebody wants to be against it, I get it. I do. But I'm not outraged by it because you're not inflicting pain on another individual, right? So that's what makes a difference when you're talking about boxing, MMA, even football, because there's a lot of contact in football, right? So I do take that serious, and I do think everyone needs to take it serious. And there's certain PEDs that I have very zero tolerance for. and that's anabolic steroids,
Mm-hmm.
EPO, and HGH. Okay. I think those are the crown jewels of the worst you could take, right? And you definitely have an unfair advantage by far if you're taking that and your opponent isn't.
Absolutely.
And so, and then there's other drugs below that come in different, like, they have different benefits, but they're still benefits and they're illegal for a reason, right? But I also feel that there's some drugs that are on the banned substance list, but maybe they're there because they're dangerous to take, or like maybe there's just illegal things like weed, and I just don't care if somebody pops dirty for weed. It's my opinion.
Yeah, that definitely does not help.
Yeah, like for sure. So like if Clarissa Shields was smoking weed, I just don't give a shit. Like it is what it is. If she did it, and I don't even know what the result of that was.
Yeah,
but I just
they
didn't care.
said she wasn't. It was like secondhand.
Okay, it was secondhand, but even if she did, like I don't care. Like it's my opinion.
Yeah.
But then there are some things that people just put a blanket statement on, and I just don't think that drug warrants the label that certain fighters get given. I'm going to give an example of one fighter, and that's Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez took a stimulant that, yes, it was on the banned substance list, all right? But if USADA was doing the testing, which is the same, USADA the one that does Olympic-style testing and all that,
Yeah.
USADA would, under that circumstance, would not have even cared about that stimulant. It was out of competition. USADA wouldn't have given a shit. VADA decides that they just report what somebody pops dirty for. And the reason that matters to me is because people talk like Valdez took some anabolic steroid, like he had a pharmacy in the system, or like if you had EPO or you had HGH or something crazy like that. Now, I'm not excusing what he took, and at the end of the day, it's on the banned substance list.
Yeah, if it's on the list, don't fucking take it, period.
I get that. However, is him being called a cheater for the rest of his life and being put in the same vein as fighters that get caught with anabolic steroids and EPO and HGH? I mean, does he deserve that?
The thing is this, is the average person does not really know what the differences are. All they hear is he popped dirty. That's what they hear.
Well, but this is what these shows are for. We need to educate people.
No, absolutely.
Right.
I totally agree with you. But that's what it is. Should he be called a cheater for the rest of his life? I mean, no, come on, whatever. But if you know something is on the list, you need to stay away from it. Your coach
100%.
needs to check, and you need to know. Like, I mean, there's many people that can tell you yes or no. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that.
Understood. However, let's compare it to like something else for a second, right? Let's say assault. Would you agree that there's a difference between an assault of somebody smacking a phone out of your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is assault, and that you can be charged for that, and you can do jail time, and you can pay a fine, and all warranted, right? Mm-hmm. But is that the same as beating somebody up with a baseball bat and breaking their ribs, giving them a collapsed lung, and leaving them in the hospital for 3 months? That's an assault as well, right? But it's a different level of assault. So, like, to me,
and on paper, all you see is assault.
Right. 100%. So what I'm saying is the degree in which you criticize somebody should depend on what they took, right? Like it's because there's a different level to it, in my opinion.
Well, I think the thing is if they do that and say, okay, so Oscar, you're okay. I mean, you did do something that you weren't supposed to be doing, but it's okay. You can do that.
Well, they did say it was okay.
But then this person, you really can't do that. And then so other boxers that come up behind them say, well, I know it's on the list, but it's on the lower side of the list. Like, I can do this. I just can't do this. So there has to be like,
but here's why there is though, right? In the case, and this is why I'm bringing this up. So Oscar Valdez, they did say it was okay. That's why they didn't strip him of the belt, and he still got to fight. This was not a post-fight. This was a pre-fight result, right? and everybody was outraged about it. And look, I agree with you that at the end of the day, it was on the list, right? But here's the problem, and this is the issue with VADA. VADA does not function the way USADA does, for example, right? In the case of USADA, if they catch somebody with something, right? USADA does the investigation. USADA, okay, does the banning or whatever the case is. VADA doesn't do any of that. VADA just says, hey, these are the results. He tested positive for this. Whatever you do with it, it's on you, right? And the issue I have with that, and the reason they allowed Valdez to still fight, because they used the USADA standard. Like, if USADA was doing the testing.
Why they use the USADA standard is because USADA is so much cheaper than VADA. I'm just going to put it out there. Like, VADA is extremely, extremely expensive. There are these top fighters fighting for, belts or whatever, and they will only test them under VADA because it's so fucking expensive. And USADA is not as expensive. And that is why we hear more about the USADA.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is that, as HLD stated here, because he stated better than I did, they do the investigation and adjudication. VADA doesn't do that, Christine. All VADA does is give you the result, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm telling you, if this was an Olympic boxer, right, about to fight for a gold medal, and they tested the same way Valdez tested for that stimulant, they would have allowed him to fight.
I don't think they would have.
Yes, they would have, because it's allowed. Stimulant is allowed out of competition. Most people don't know that.
Not during competition.
When the result came in, it would have been of a test that was out of competition.
Got you.
Meaning it was not in his system when he fought.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So if they would have tested, let's say someone's about to fight for the Olympic gold medal, or any point in the Olympics or any tournament, right? And USADA does a test, and then they don't even test for that, Christine, if it's out of competition.
They do have random tests.
No, they do test, but USADA doesn't feel that is something that warrants you being stripped or being called a cheater
you'll definitely probably get a fine or something.
Not for what Valdez took. USADA would have allowed it. That's the standard they use to allow Valdez to fight, because VADA doesn't do the adjudication. They don't, like, VADA doesn't do any of that. They just test. That's all they do, right? And give the result, right? That's what VADA does.
Right, yeah.
And they leave it up to the commission and up to the sanctioning bodies to determine what they want to do with those findings. That's what they do, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I mean, I just feel, and the reason I'm bringing this up, everyone's using Valdez's name and Ryan. Ryan wasn't even with Reynoso. Right?
No, he was
with Derek James.
Yeah.
Neri wasn't with Reynoso when he popped either.
Right.
Right? And Valdez if it was under Olympic style, it wouldn't have even been a story. It wouldn't even have been a result. So
what you're saying is you believe, even though those guys were not under Reynoso, but there's been 4 others?
Who?
Okay, so we had Canelo, number 1.
Yeah.
The big dog. We just now had Munguia.
Munguia?
Yes.
And Julio Cesar Martinez.
Yes.
That's it.
So you're saying that just because they did pop dirty, whatever, that Reynoso is innocent? Like, he does not know?
No, I'm not calling anybody innocent, because I don't know that.
Okay.
Right? I don't want to be a Jamal Charlo, right? So I don't know.
Right.
Right. So what I'm saying is that I don't know about that. But
you can't argue that it does look a little suspicious.
Things could look as suspicious as you want. People feel working with Conte suspicious.
Yeah.
Right. So like, and if we go back to you worked at the bank theory, well, Reynoso's working at the bank, right? And he has nothing to do with what the other dude working at the bank takes. Right. He's just the trainer.
I will say this. As a coach, and I hope that it doesn't bite me in the butt, because as far as I know the supplements that my boxers take. We do have the list. I know who feeds them and what they eat. because that is the relationship that you have, and that is the relationship that you want. Now, one of my boxers in the past, did test dirty one time for weed. But as far as supplements and food and everything, we're on the up and up. So as a coach, I feel like it's your responsibility to make sure that your boxers are not taking anything on the list. They know what's on the list, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm not saying that. I'm not. Maybe he just trusts his guys. I don't know. But
according to what they're saying, Reynoso just trains them, is what they're saying.
Yes, you do train them. Yes, you do. But you are in their lives. There is a relationship that is closer. You need to know what supplements they're taking, because that can also affect training. You need to know how they're eating, because that can also affect training. So it's not just, I'm going to train you and you go and I don't care what you're taking. I don't care what you're doing. It's not like that. It's not.
You don't think, because like the way I'm looking at it is this, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but
yeah,
when Munguia tested positive, right? And I'll admit, like, well, Munguia looks like, if I remember correctly, that's an anabolic steroid, right? If I remember correctly, we'll see the facts on that later. But people were putting out pictures, including like fighters that did not pop dirty under Reynoso.
Yeah.
And that's irresponsible. Like you're seeing, Ryan.
I totally agree with you.
And by the way, I'm not saying Derek James is responsible, but with Ryan Garcia popping dirty.
So this is the thing. So Eric Gomez, no, I don't care how people fucking wipe their ass. Like, are you fucking kidding me? HOD, even if the coach knows what supplements, does not mean that they're not taking on the side. Right. Absolutely. You're right. They could be taking something on the side. I mean, anybody can that we're around. But for the most part, my point is that you know what your boxers are doing. If they choose to lie to you and deceive you, that's on them. But for the most point, it's like, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. And they were good, Of course, anybody can lie to you. Oh my God, the lady or the man laying next to you can lie to you. That's not what I'm arguing.
And furthermore, like in the case of you and Chicken, right?
Yeah.
You two have a bond, right? Like
absolutely. And with
right?
all my
there's a trust there, right?
Absolutely.
So she knows if she were to take something on the side, that's kind of like a betrayal of your trust.
Absolutely, it is.
But Reynoso and Munguia just started working together.
Yeah, they did.
Like, we don't know if they have a bond like that. Well, we don't know if like Munguia, I don't think
definitely
have a connection
have
with
a
them.
rapport. You have to definitely have a rapport. Like, for instance, and I'm nowhere near Reynoso, and I'm not trying to say that. But, I had a call a few weeks ago. Hey, my guy's going to fight in 3 weeks. Can you train him? I said, you know what? Send him up here. Let me see what our rapport is, how we can trust each other and blah, blah, blah. And so you have to have some semblance of trust and a connection. You have to.
So I know somebody said the head coach.
Yeah, come on. I don't care. Like, if we have a rapport, if we connect or not, I'm going to train you.
Well, Munguia doesn't have a history. He's never tested positive before.
No,
right?
And I'm not even speaking of that. He doesn't. And that's another point there. Like, why all of a sudden now?
Yeah, but when you say that, it's insinuating that the only possible conclusion is that Reynoso gave him a drug.
I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just saying that.
Or at the very least, you're saying there's a correlation there with Reynoso.
Well, there's been a few guys under.
And there's a difference between correlation and causation,
and I
right?
don't know who else is in the circle. In the circle. But we know that he's the face. He's the head coach. So.
Because if we go by what he used to train with him, right, at one point, and then they tested positive, then you could get anyone who's ever tested positive and look at the list of all the trainers that they ever had, and I guess they're all guilty. If people are going to start doing that. I'm not saying you're doing that.
You're saying that. I'm not.
No, plenty of people are saying that, though. EV in the chat is saying, they were all in camps with Reynoso. Well, what does that mean? Right?
I'm just saying.
EV, shout out to EV. I think I know who EV is, but he won't admit it. I think that's my cousin, by the way, but I don't know if he is or isn't.
Is he cheerleading for you? then he's
No,
definitely your cousin.
he's like on your side. Look at this. He said it also had more than 7 in camp. But test positive, yeah, but they weren't all with Reynoso at the time, right? So, and then Julio Cesar Martinez, by the way, Christine, tested positive again way after he left Reynoso.
Okay.
So, like, that's someone who obviously is
that
taking
doesn't
some
mean
shit.
or not mean that Reynoso didn't know. It's not saying he did or didn't know. He just kept on doing whatever he was doing.
It can show his character, to be honest with you. Like, I think that's someone that will. You can't be with the fighter all day, every day. At the end of the day, we got to put responsibility on the fighter.
Absolutely. I think it's on the fighter.
This falls 100% on Munguia, in my
Look,
opinion.
I'm a coach, okay, and I've had a fighter that tested positive for weed. Okay, that's on me. I should have said, what the fuck,
Is it?
And I didn't know, right?
Yeah, but how would that be on you?
Where we know what we need to do, but then yes, there are some that'll do what they want to do anyway. But it was definitely dealt with.
In the United States of America, a fighter cannot be a professional unless they're already an adult, right?
I mean,
So
Canelo was what, 16, 15?
Yeah, but that's I said in the United States of America. In Mexico, you could turn pro at 15.
Well,
right?
When did he fight first in the United States? How old was he?
19.
Okay.
Unless he fought before that Mayweather undercard. But,
yeah, I mean 18. Yeah.
18, you cannot fight pro under 18 in the U.S.
Yeah, you're right.
So what I'm saying, they're all adults.
Yeah.
These are grown ass men.
I mean,
right?
grown ass men do shit all the time.
And a coach cannot be with them 100% of the time.
Absolutely not.
So if your fighter puffed some weed when you weren't around, how's that on you?
I mean, I'm going to also take part of the blame because I need to know what they're doing. And if there's some reason that they don't trust me enough to say, you know what, I fucking smoked the other day, then we got a problem. We got to work it out.
It's just it's a Reynoso meat market that they go to. By the way, ironically, Canelo's brother has like a taco spot where they make all this meat and if you think if I go to does it have clenbuterol? I could buff myself up while I eat at his brother's.
You cannot not be involved with your boxers. There's no way. They're like your children, because if you don't look at them like your children, you cannot make sure that they have every tool not to get hurt and not to die in the ring. So that is absolutely not going to happen. Well, I'm sorry. There are some coaches that don't, but I'm not made that way. And I don't think Reynoso is made that way either. We actually care about these people and we want to give them everything that they can so that they don't get hurt. Safety's number one, winning second for me.
I believe that, look, there's been a lot of great fighters who popped or were found out in the Balco case, like Jay Mosley, for example. They all had phenomenal, great trainers. And maybe I'm naive for saying, I don't know, but I'm going to be honest. I don't think their coaches knew that these fighters were taking some shit.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't see the benefit for the trainer to allow that. And if people are going to be blaming them for it, right?
Yeah.
I don't see why that would be the case. I don't think
being like your children is not extreme, because I would not want to put anyone in harm's way like I wouldn't want my kids. But you know what? I'm a trainer and this is who I am. You can't tell me how I feel, how I don't feel. And Dice Sanchez, oh my God, most parents are not even aware that their children do not. How come a coach is? It's ridiculous. Then I'm fucking ridiculous. I'm fucking ridiculous.
Well, that is that. All right.
Yeah.
But look, moral of the story, PEDs are bad, okay?
Yeah, moral of the story, PEDs are bad. And if you're going to accuse somebody of knowing and supplying, you better have some backing, or else your ass is going to be in court.
You weren't convinced by this? Here, and it's right here. But will that pass in court? If it doesn't... Your Honor, you don't understand, Your Honor. They're right here, and it's right here.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
So it is what it is. Look, let's move on. Look, here's the thing. Caleb Plant, right? I'll be honest with you. I did not see this upset coming at all.
I did not see it coming.
And before we talk about the fight, why don't they just do the fights? Like, what's with this whole like? Well, let's have them fight on the same card and then they'll fight later, and like it
Yeah.
never goes well. Like some disaster always happens. They
Yeah.
should have just done the Haney Ryan rematch.
Exactly the way they did Ryan and Haney. It was like those two were the focus. They were like totally overlooking who they had to face. And this was the same thing. The same thing.
Resendiz comes in. I don't even know what. I didn't even look at the odds. I didn't even think it was worth even looking at. But he was a big underdog. Elijah Garcia knocked this guy out.
He did. But you know what? If you go back to the fight, it was a tough fight for Elijah.
It was, yeah. It was a tough fight.
And then the last fight that I saw was whenever he fought Hurd, and I was like, well, Hurd's kind of on his way out. He's been retired. I'm not retired, but he's been on a shelf.
He looked good in that fight.
So I wasn't really sure.
100%. And here he is.
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Round 5 on, it was all him, and Caleb Plant had no answers.
Nothing.
Caleb Plant looked out of gas. He looked flat. Resendiz wasn't falling for his feints. And I loved how Resendiz just very limited motion. Didn't really feint a lot, but would just shoot the right hand, and Caleb just didn't know when he was going to shoot it. Like it's just.
It's no secret that Caleb usually like fizzles out in the last rounds, but he started to fizzle out early, and I hate to say it, but he looked old. He didn't have his reaction. Everything was just slowed down. And Resendiz had his number. I mean, he was doing exactly what he needed to do, and it wasn't, like you say, it wasn't anything just fabulous. It was just basic boxing. A punch placement. I mean, he looked really, really good. I was like, wow, okay. I'm a fan.
Yeah, he was putting the punches together.
I was going for Caleb. He looked big. I'm like, he's hungry. The next fight's going to be Charlo. He's going to really show us, why he belongs in this fight and why he's going to beat Charlo. But it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, Caleb, when that third, fourth, fifth punch is coming at him, he almost like falls apart.
Yeah.
And it was when Canelo started putting punches together. He kind of like figured out late in their fight, like, okay, I don't think he knows what to do after the first 2 punches, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And Benavidez overwhelmed him with a lot of combinations, and Resendiz beat him just as clear as Benavidez did. I'm surprised it was a split decision.
That's true. No, oh my God, the scoring was horrible. And then like Yonkers Tyson said, the referee, like, what? It's like Caleb, was measuring the whole time. You can only do it every so often before you get a point taken away. You can't just have your lead hand up in front like that. Like everybody knows that. But Caleb got away with a lot of stuff because, we know how boxing goes sometimes, and it was
Is this Caleb's old, like you said? Is this it's just a bad style matchup for Caleb? Like what do you think?
I think honestly, and I hate to say it because I really, really like Caleb. I do. But I think that we're seeing the end of his reign. I really do. I don't know. I just feel like
he's like early 30s.
Well, he's what, 34? Well, the thing is, Resendiz was smaller and he came up. Caleb looks so much bigger than him, and he has the boxing skills and he has the
32.
reach. 32. Okay, he has the box, but in boxing years, when did he start boxing? How many wars has he been in? It's different than you and I. He had everything. He had the length, the range, the boxing skills to really beat Resendiz, and he didn't have it. He didn't have.
How does Caleb, if he even can at this point? Number one, is there anything he could do to fix? Because this is nothing new as far as fading, right? Even when he won the title, you got the key. I barely pronounce his name.
It wasn't just fading. I mean, it wasn't
That's
just the fading. He was getting beat. I mean,
yeah,
we
for
saw
sure.
Caleb's face and we saw Resendez's face. Resendez didn't have anything.
Yeah,
Nothing.
no damage
Nothing.
that was visible. And but
Exactly.
what I'm saying is even when he was young, he was still
Mhm.
fading late in fights, what
Oh,
I'm
for
saying.
sure.
So
Absolutely.
that's not going to get any better just
No,
with
it's
age,
just gonna go.
obviously.
It's gonna decline.
So
Absolutely.
that declines automatically, right? And then
Right.
he faded in the Canelo fight. He faded in the Benavides fight.
Yep.
So those were, you know, obviously I'm sure those guys did things to make him fade faster or more effective. I get that.
Yeah.
And Resendez, I think, did a lot of things right in this fight to assist with the fading getting worse.
And
But
not only that, but his confidence when he walked in, he had no respect for Caleb. He had no respect. He was very confident. He did what he had to do. He wasn't intimidated at all by his size, by nothing. You know, he went in there and he knew that he was going to win, and he did.
well,
Um,
I agree,
yeah.
100%.
Daisy Sanchez, Caleb was told by his trainer, Breadman, hit low if you gotta. And so when I heard that, I was like, I hope that that
Yeah,
I
you
heard
can
that
at least
wrong.
have a code word for it at least or something. You know what I mean? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, did I hear right? And then I saw other people saying it. I was like, damn, that's when when your trainer knows, like, you got to do something because you're not going to win this.
Well, I guess. Look, I'm sure there should be a way around it, right? Like, for example, maybe hit him around the bout line, and if the ref doesn't say anything, you keep doing it. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, the rep didn't say anything about his lead hand all, measuring the whole fucking night. Like there was a lot of things the ref didn't
yeah, but
call.
that was eventually used against him, ironically. But and look, so what I want to ask you is there anything he can do, right? Outside, I know somebody said he should take PEDs. Aside from that, is there anything he can do to fix the conditioning aspect? That's number one. And second, like also the technical, like he does fall apart when guys start throwing combinations at him and they don't
Yeah.
respect his power.
Yeah. Yeah, it
I
makes you
mean,
question his power, really. Um it makes you question, and is there anything he can do? I mean, I'm sure there is. Like, I don't know what his regimen is for, conditioning. Is he running miles? Is he swimming? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But the biggest factor to me is that after you go back and see what you could have done or should have done, and you see the fight, mentally, that is the hardest thing to fix. Like,
mm,
if he goes into another fight, he is going to, unless he fixed the mentality part of it, the same thing is gonna happen or worse.
I agree. I guess for me, it's not a lack of heart. It's not
Absolutely
like,
not.
it's not like he just doesn't want to be in there anymore and he's giving up. Or
No, yeah.
I just think his body is like kind of betraying him, and
I think so. And he's and yeah, 32 is very young, like I said, for the average person, but for the person that's been in wars and who knows what's going through his head. He's got another baby coming and his wife's there, pregnant wife, and
mm,
you don't know what's going through his head. You have to be totally focused. And I think that he underestimated Resendez because he was looking ahead too. He was like, okay, Charlo's next. He didn't even
right,
like bother to look at Resendez, in my opinion.
100%. By the way, I like his middle name, Caleb Hunter Plant.
Hmm.
But look, the McCumbee fight. I mean, he was getting hurt, knocked
Yeah, yeah,
down,
yeah, yeah,
and look, he came back in that fight,
yeah,
but McCumbee wasn't. Maybe McCumbee must be kicking himself, saying, "I should have applied more pressure from the
yeah.
beginning." You know
Now
what I
that
mean?
he looks back in retrospect,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So that's something to think about. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just going to say it. I know you're saying that he looks old, and in a rematch, I think Caleb Plant could put it together.
And
Be
beat
Resendez
Resendez?
in a rematch. I do.
Really?
I just think one, he's not gonna underestimate him again. Obviously,
Mm.
I think I don't. There was just something off. I think it was an off night.
He
I think
was
he beats
off.
him in
He
the
was
rematch.
I'm a fan. Like, I love him. I'm a fan. But I'm willing to bet $1 that you're wrong. And I hope they do
Okay,
get the rematch. I hope they do. And I hope they have a different ref. And I hope that they have different judges, because one of those judges was totally fucked
Oh
up.
yeah. But there's always that one judge, right? Like it never fails.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they scored it. Like, and I think they did it like 7-5 for playing.
Yeah, it was not good.
I don't even know how that's possible, but that's what they did.
I'm with
David
Eric.
Sutherland, I
Resendiz
think
will
it
go
was.
harder next time. I'm with him, because if they do a rematch,
Okay.
if there was something in the contract or whatever, he's going to be like, I didn't prove myself the first time. Okay.
Well, look, it makes sense for both of them to do the rematch.
It does. I mean, it does. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
It's the rematch of the year right there.
I mean, I don't know about the year, but yeah.
I mean, I think so.
Well, the year's not over. It's not even close.
You know what? We're already halfway.
It's June 1.
So we're already halfway through the year.
I
It's
mean,
already there.
halfway, but we don't know what's coming, do we?
We can't really count. Nothing really happens in December, so we only got like 5 months left.
We don't
Good.
know. We don't know. We don't know what's
So,
coming.
all right. So Caleb Plant, you don't believe in him anymore. It's just says he's not.
I'm not saying I don't believe in him. I'm just saying
I
that
believe in Caleb Plant.
I
he wins
believe in
rematch.
him, and I like him very much. I'm just saying that if they have a rematch, Resendiz is going to win.
I also think I think he needs a new trainer. He needs a new look. I think, you know what I mean. Nothing against his current trainer, Bredman, but I think it's time. He's not learning anything new. He's not adding anything to his game.
Well, and I love to listen to the corners. As a coach, I love to listen to the corners, and sometimes I'm like, you got to give them some instruction. You got to give them some instruction. Like, what is the other guy doing? How is he messing up where your guy can capitalize on that? Like, what is the other guy fucking up that your guy can
Well, look,
capitalize on?
they're saying that Caleb Plant has trouble with pressure fighters, and I agree to. I mean, that's obvious, but
yeah. So yeah.
So I just think it's you don't look. Maybe he doesn't need to switch trainers, but maybe he should pay some visits to some gyms that have a lot of pressure fighters and just spar them.
Well, it definitely has to do with what you're doing on the bags, what you're doing on the mitts, and who you're sparring. I mean, that's all. Whatever you do in those 3 areas is what you're going to do in the ring. But I think that, and I'm not talking about anyone specifically, but I'm just saying that I think some trainers, once they get a cash cow or two, they just kind of sit back and people could just use their name, and they get fed a lot of fighters because they do have a name, and they don't really put in 110% like they did when they were hungry. I mean, that's what I really believe.
How about the Garcia gym?
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not naming names. I'm just saying that once you get to a certain point, some people think they don't have to learn anymore. They don't have to like put in the 110%, all the hours, all the blood, sweat, and tears. And that's not true. I think once you get to that point, you need to get out of there, because somebody's going to get hurt. We as coaches put in a lot of hours, and it should not stop ever until you're ready to retire. And you should never stop learning.
Are you in the belief that if the greatest things that Caleb Plant was going to do in boxing, he already did them? He's not going to reach that level again.
I think that he has plateaued, and I don't see him elevating.
All right. Okay. Oh, we'll see where it goes. Like this,
we will see, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for the first time in my life.
And there's some pressure fighters in that division, like in Billy, and like that could really hurt him if he doesn't improve those aspects. So we'll see how that goes. So EV here saying Caleb was asked if he hurt his hand in the post fight. He said that he did hurt it in camp. Trainer said it was never mentioned to him in camp. Caleb making excuses or just don't got it?
Yeah, I one thing that I don't respect much is whenever fighters discredit whoever beat them by saying that they had an injury or something happened or whatever, because I think that there's no, I've said this before, there's not a boxer that goes into a fight without something that's not 100%. Like nobody's 100%. They're not. There's not. But you discredit people whenever you say, "Oh well, I had this or I had that." So I don't personally respect that.
I still remember when George Foreman was on the HBO. Rest in peace, by the way. When George Foreman was on the broadcasting team on HBO, I forget what fight it was, but there was a fighter that kept constantly mentioning how his hand wasn't right, and Jim Lampley asked George Foreman, George, did you ever have any hand injuries going into fights? And he said, yep. Did you ever mention anything about it? Or like, nope. If somebody asked me about it, I just smiled and said, my hand is fine.
Exactly.
That's it.
To me, that's how I grew up. That's what I saw growing up. And to me, I respect that, because you make excuses. We all have excuses of why this and why that. Everybody's going through something, whether it be mental or physical. But you totally discredit someone whenever you say, oh, well, he won because,
Yeah.
So I personally don't like it.
By the way, I read that Mike McCallum passed away, so rest in peace to him.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah.
And that's another great fighter that we've lost. And the older we get, the more we're going to see pass away. It's a sad thing, but that's life. Celebrate and watch him. Look up some Mike McCallum fights and honor him in that way. Don't let us. These fighters leave a lot behind in terms of memories for us on fights you can watch forever. So make sure you catch his fights and all that good stuff. They're here on YouTube. Great fighter. One last thing, Christine.
Yes.
Beck the Bully won a very close decision against Darius. Great fight, by the way.
It was a great fight. It was very exciting.
A really good fight.
Yeah.
I thought the knockdown around 12 sealed the deal, but okay.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't complain. I was joking on Instagram. I called it a robbery, but it was a really close fight. It could have gone either way, but it was a hell of a fight.
It was.
What did you think of it?
No, I agree with you. It was a hell of a fight. I do. I mean, we had never seen, what do they call him? What's his nickname?
Beck the Bully?
Huh?
Who are you talking about?
Beck.
Beck the Bully. I can't pronounce his name.
Beck the Bully. Yeah.
I call Beck the Bully. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah. So we had never really seen the Bully challenge like that. Like usually he just really slides through, and does his thing. So, shout out to Darius. I love Darius. He's a great guy. And I was telling somebody, I don't know if this is a test for Darius. Like I'm not sure that because promoters do that sometimes. They want to test their guys and see if they're really what they seem to be. And I thought this was a test for him, and I thought that even though he didn't get his hand raised and he was knocked down, that he showed that he was really he's going to be able to move on and do great things, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Great fight. I want to see a rematch.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch.
It would be the second, I believe this is only the second rematch that Beck the Bully has had.
Yeah.
Had to rematch Rosado after Rosado knocked him out, but that was a couple fights after the knockout, and he did really good in the rematch. I have a feeling though that this is not going to be easy for either guy. So
no,
I guess their teams have a lot to think about because they're going to take out a lot from each other.
Yeah.
So I say pay them.
I would like to see Darius, work on a few things. I mean, he had his chin in the air and his defense was not always tight. But I think if he changes a few things and tightens up on some things that he'll do well. He'll do really well.
100%. Christine?
Yes.
It was a good show.
Great show. And before we get out, I want to say happy birthday to Tierra Brown. Today
Tierra Brown, the Dark Menace.
Happy birthday. Absolutely. Happy birthday,
Happy birthday to Tierra.
Yes. Happy birthday, Tierra.
So happy birthday to the Dark Menace. By the way, I mean, she ran Sky Nicholson out of the division. Sky wants to move down.
She is
Like, you know what I
moving
mean?
on.
She's going down 122, right?
Yep.
Scott
Yes.
Nicholson was like, oh, I'm gonna humble her. I'm gonna humble her. She doesn't know, like, you didn't do nothing. Like, all you do is get beat and
Nada.
ran from the division, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, she couldn't wait to go down to 122. I thought she was gonna move up to 130 and 135
Right.
and be undisputed in 3 weight classes like she was talking about. And then those dreams, I don't know what happened to that. She's going down to 122.
They flew out the window.
And I don't know if she can, like, we'll see. Like, it's easy to say that, but that means you're gonna have to be cutting a lot of weight.
Absolutely. And
Just go down there.
we tried to tell him Tierra is not what you think she is.
Oh, like, well, we're told, oh, she's gonna outbox her with ease, and we don't even need to see the fight. We were told that we already know she'll be Tierra. Like, okay, like, right, I guess this is why they fight the fights, right?
Exactly.
But yes, of course, happy birthday to Tierra Brown,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And besides being a great fighter, good person, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And good people are hard to come by. So
They are.
you know, like, I'm a
Look,
piece of shit.
look at you
know
and
what I mean?
I.
So,
We're like, diamonds in the rough, lost in the sand.
I mean, I don't know about me, but you, yeah. But with that said, Christine, any final thoughts?
No. I thank everybody in the chat. I tried to stream this from my StreamYard too, so it could be on my channel, but it didn't work. So
Oh, I want to
Okay.
play this, and I have one more question for you, actually, real quick.
Okay.
Hey everybody, it's Alexis Proctor. I just want to give a huge shout out to D-Style Boxing and In the Ring with Christine, who have both helped me and supported me through my shoulder recovery, as well as all their supporters. It's been a really long process, but I finally got the all clear to fight again, and will be heading to the States in a week from today. So I'm super excited. I'll be training with Christine in Dallas, Texas, and yeah, can't wait. Thank you guys.
Yes.
So obviously that was a couple of weeks ago. She's already
Yes.
there.
She's here.
Thoughts
She's in here.
thoughts
Yep.
on Alexis. I still remember, like, when I saw it was the Nationals,
Mhm.
and the winners of those tournaments were going to go to Worlds, and
Yes.
she made it all the way to the final,
Yes.
and I mean, just making it there, and
Mhm.
in a very close fight against a really good fighter, actually,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just barely losing this and having that very bad shoulder injury.
Yep.
But thoughts on her? How is she looking now that you've been able to work with her? Coming off of that injury.
She's looking amazing. I tell her all the time, you have a bionic shoulder. Your shoulder is stronger than anybody's. It has been rebuilt. It is stronger. And she's doing so well. She's so disciplined. She's so committed. She is a coach's dream. You tell her what to do and she does it. So y'all are going to definitely see her, and y'all are definitely going to know her name. And I am so blessed to be, yes, she's Australian, and I am so blessed to be able to work with her, and that she chose to come here to work with me. It is quite an honor.
All right. Well, there you go. That's
Yes.
an update on Alexis Proctor.
Yes.
This has been another episode of Hispanics Causing Panic. Everybody have a good one.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace.